do you think there's a chance, there's a world in which she's able to modulate it enough to be a unifier and run for president and win?
I think she's very far away from being able to do that. I think that even other politicians that are also polarizing within the squad in terms of what they say or their ideas, whatever else, are very effective communicators, like Ilhan Omar and others. I think AOC. I mean, that's my hope, right? My hope is that someone like AOC could. The last year plus has not been extremely promising, in my mind. In part because she's continued to position herself as a lightning rod cultural figure, whereas I think a national political figure needs to pick their spots and also pick their moment for changing their rhetoric and adjusting to their audience. And I think she does it in certain environments, but that needs to be your national message when you're out there. You need to be speaking towards the not already converted. And I think Bernie does that. Bernie strips his politics down to the basics.
So I agree with you spiritually, but we also have an example of Donald Trump winning the presidency. Isn't some of the game of politics that's separate from the policy, being able to engage in rhetoric that leads to outrage, and then walking through that fire with grace?
First of all, I think Trump is kind of a unique personality in American history, so it's hard to compare anyone to Trump.
But don't you think AOC is comparable in terms of the uniqueness in the political system we're in, or no?
I think Trump was much more of a firebrand, anti-establishment force. In that, and I mean this negatively for what it's worth, because I disagree with Trump, but he was willing to set fire to the Republican establishment, right? He was able to self-fund, largely his campaign, and he already was a media figure without them. AOC has been much more cautious with the Democratic Party establishment, in part because she's not trying to run a national political campaign right now for the outside, like a 5% chance I could be president, let me set fire to everything. She's trying to help people and help her constituents through the game of getting committee appointments and, getting wins in the margins. And I think that's understandable for what it's worth. But in the process, I think, what's the difference between AOC and a progressive Democrat? During 2016, it used to be pretty easy to say the difference between the Bernie-crats and a progressive Democrat, right? Because we were establishing our own outside third force in American politics, where, you could knock on the door of a lot of people who would end up voting for Trump, and they would say, oh, I have a lot of respect for Bernie, or whatever. And they're still going to not vote for him. But he wasn't considered part of the Democratic Party milieu. I think now with AOC, there's a much closer association of AOC and her policies with ordinary Democrats, whereas she needs to draw stronger distinctions. She doesn't need to do it like Trump did with just, man, I forgot all of them, though I found some of them amusing in the moment, like all his nicknames about Lion Ted Cruz and the rest, But I do feel like she needs to, differentiate herself a bit more, but then also just keep her language simple. Trump was more complex than Bernie in his literal language, but he was repetitive, and there was kind of a rhythm and a cadence to Trump's speech. I think AOC needs to, like Bernie, reduce her rhetoric down to a couple key lines and signatures and focus her politics not on 20 issues, but on 3 or 4 most important issues, and have that message discipline. Bernie will do an interview with you and he'll write down, I hope you do interview Bernie, but
Me too.
he'll write down like 5 things, and I'm only going to talk about these 5 things. Ask me about this? Okay, I'm talking about these 5 things.
So that's a message discipline that Bernie has been exemplary on. Yeah, for sure. But I think that's learned. That could be developed.
I think she could develop it. Listen, I hope I'm answering your question. I think not the way I should answer it, being someone broadcasting to people on the left and elsewhere. I hope AOC goes in that direction. I just think that she has a lot going against her just because she's already a national figure and she's in a deeper blue district. Yeah. But we need to root our politics then in working class people and a lot of districts that, I don't know, the type of kitchen table conversations are, I hate that cliche, but I just used it. But a lot of these conversations are just different in their tone and cadence. And it's not just a question of, Fetterman or Tim Ryan in Ohio and kind of just white working class voters. I mean, working class voters of any race. Mm-hmm. There's their day-to-day needs and the day-to-day things they want to talk about is just at a different plane than, a Met Gala cultural statement.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that you respect and love her and would like to see different ways. I mean, she's young, so the different trajectories that she could develop that would ultimately make her a good candidate. I'm just looking at odds here and I disagree with them. I'm buying AOC stock here, given these odds. So in terms of Democratic, who's going to win the 2024 election? So that includes running and winning. On the Democrat side is 18% chance for Biden, 7% chance for Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom at 6%, Michelle Obama at 3%, Hillary Clinton at 2%, and AOC at 1.5%, and then Bernie at 1%. So
I would not buy AOC at that mark. I would buy Biden like crazy though. I'm not a gambling man, but I would totally toss a G at Biden at that amount.
AOC at 1.5% chance?
I think it's I don't think she runs.
You don't think she runs? Yeah. Okay.
I don't think Bernie will primary Biden either. I mean, if Biden doesn't run, then obviously it's an open field.